This is the Vision Pro episode of the podcast.
It looks like you got it for free, and this is like what they gave it to you at the store, and you kept it.
Okay, what do you see?
Enter passcode.
Bleed this out.
The problem is this one's so fucking big.
This fucking photo came out, like, this guy would be dead.
Yeah, I could use this.
Yes, okay. Fuck yeah. I converted you. Now we have a new morning hang.
Fuck that, we're gonna get it done.
All right, welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. It's going to be a little bit different. Well, not the whole thing. Half the podcast will be similar or the same as usual. The other half is going to be a live Vision Pro demo and me trying to convince this hater that the Vision Pro is the future.
Okay. I'm excited to try.
Should we just get into it?
Let's get into it.
Okay, and let's just say, so we're both Apple fanboys.
Yeah. Let's
Most new products from Apple, both of us buy like instantly. This, when it first came out, I was like, I had an Oculus before. It was one of those things where I had it and then I just put it on my shelf because I also I don't like games. I don't like anything like that. And then, the Vision Pro came out. 1, it wasn't available in Canada. 2, it was expensive. 3, I didn't have great experiences before in VR. And then so what happened was I was in LA last week with a friend and he's like, oh, I'm going to go work outside. And I was like, okay, I'll meet you like in your backyard. And I knew he had one. But then I went outside. He's like literally sitting, basking in the sun with his laptop on his lap with the Vision Pro on, like direct sun, like not a cloud in the sky. And then he's like, dude, this is like so good for work. Like you have to try it. And then I was like, okay, whatever. I put it on. I did like the setup for like my eyes. That's the only kind of annoying thing, like using it with people is like it's a quick little setup unless we have very similar eye structure. But like actually within a 5-minute demo, like using his laptop in direct sunlight, I was like, this is all that I've ever wanted. Like, I don't know, like I've traveled and worked like a lot and then always I'm like, oh, I'm going to work like out on the patio and like you never get anything done. It's always the worst experience. This was the first time I ever worked outdoors and I was productive. 5 minutes later, I like had it in my cart and then I went and picked it up at the Apple store, which you actually have to like scan your face before you go and pick it up, which is kind of cool. But yeah, anyway.
Okay, so here's my thoughts before using it.
Yeah.
Likewise, always like an Apple fanboy since like a kid. I think they started to fall off around the time of like the HomePod wasn't a great product.
Yeah.
The investments they seem to be making, like the Apple Car they just killed, they're definitely not early on AI yet, which I think were like, anyway, I don't know if they went in the best direction, and they seem to obviously go pretty heavy on VR. I'm pretty against VR. I don't think there's that many practical use cases. What I've seen and when I would use this, that sounds like an interesting use case, or on an airplane to watch a movie, like that seems great.
Not even on watching a movie, dude. On an air. So after LA, I flew from LA to Vegas. It's like a 1.5 hour flight or something. Put this on. It was a JSX flight, so the Wi-Fi was good. Most productive flight working.
I refuse to think that this is a comparable work experience to monitors.
So I would never sit at my desk at home if I had my monitors and my mouse and use this. But on the plane, it was superior because you're also like, dude, I was like in this environment. I was in Joshua Tree, like with this big whatever, just like zoned in, ambient music playing, like the perfect like work environment. Like you can curate it completely. Okay, let's try it. Let's just get into it. Okay, so I also bought the $200 travel case, which I like. What don't you like about it?
Well, it's completely wrinkled.
That's the vibe of it.
Really?
It's called ripstock. Ripstock is like a type of fabric.
I like how it's spacey.
Yes, it's spacey. There is a satisfying like hit to it.
Yeah. I think they could have gone with something that didn't wrinkle so much. It kind of looks like
it came like this. It looks didn't get wrinkled.
It looks really?
Yes, it comes like this. It didn't get wrinkled.
It looks like you got it for free and this is like what they gave it to you at the store and you kept it. It doesn't look like a $200 case.
Okay. Well, I will say, like, if you didn't have this case, I don't really know how you would travel with it without being like super worried about it. Anyway, you open it up, you have a spot for the battery, which I don't have strapped in, but spot for the battery. And then you have like this nice little accessory pouch case that they give you. And then there's this like really cool little like sliding mechanism to like lock it in, which is kind of cool. So it's like, this is 100% just made for the Vision Pro, which is always cool. I'll just like get into one thing that I've noticed on Twitter that people talk about, and I've almost done it as well. natively, I'll try to grab it by like this piece, but this piece is magnets. And so I've seen a bunch of video or photos of people saying they were like holding it over the table. This fell off and they like smashed the front of it. So that's the only, and like it's happened to me multiple times.
Yeah.
Because I just like, but now like I'm like pretty solid on just whatever, grabbing it like this and you're fine. So what we're going to try to do is I want to get it. We'll set it up for you. We might cut some of this out of the podcast of like the eye setup. I'll just give you like so you look where you want to click.
Okay. You
click with your hands like this. And it's not like you move your head and look at what you click. You move your eyes to look at what you click.
Okay.
This knob, which is kind of like on an Apple Watch, you use this. If you press it once, that brings up the menu or the home menu. And then turning it will change the environment around you. So you can like go from just seeing the world around you to like
more or less.
So it goes from the front. So it's like it starts at the front and then it will start to wrap around you, which is nice because when you're working on your laptop, you can still see your keys. So yeah, just put it on and then I'll start to try to think through like walking you through like the setup. So just put it over your head and then on your right hand, there's a knob to tighten it or loosen it.
Okay, that's probably fine.
It's fine. Okay, we have the same size head.
What do I do?
So you can either look at it and tap with your hands, or you can try to reach it.
That's not where I'm looking.
Yeah, so we have to do the eye setup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so just
you can. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now do you see the home menu, or do you just see nothing?
Nothing.
But you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, so now hit the home button. Okay, you have a menu?
Yeah.
Okay, now click settings. Is it too far?
Yeah.
Like you could
on you.
If you look at it, will it highlight? If you look at the settings icon just with your eyes?
Okay, yeah, now there.
Okay, then did that work?
No.
Okay. We need to do the hand and eye setup. Here, just get up and walk towards it and like tap the settings icon. Is that not kind of a trippy experience too? Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Now it's even further, so we're fucked.
Okay, do you see a bar at the bottom of the screen? Like so can you look at that to it highlights and then click and drag it towards you?
No,
did it highlight?
No. I'm going as down as I can.
This is like the problem with like putting it on someone else's face. There should be like a hard code like open up eye setting from like some sort of button to do it.
I'm trying to see if I can get the eye.
Stop moving your head and just move your eyes, and then you'll see what like maybe light up. Like try to just look above it or below it. Like that's usually what I find.
It's like oh I got it for a fucking second. What do I do once I get it?
Click and drag towards you.
I'm not even gonna look. I'm looking so far down that I can't even see anything.
Do you see the menu?
Yeah.
Okay, so now do you see the top of the menu? It says hand and eye setup, and then So click redo eye setup first. Okay, so now what it's going to do is it's going to give you a bunch of... I didn't know
you could click it.
Now it's going to give you a bunch of dots to look at, and then you have to tap with your fingers.
Okay. Adjusting lighting.
Yeah.
It is, like, it just went dark, and it's, like...
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a movie theater. Look at the dot and tap your fingers together.
Is that not crazy that I can track your eyes, like, with that much precision?
How does it know I'm clicking right now? Camera?
Yeah, there's like, I think like 4 or 5 cameras on the front.
Even this is pretty fun.
Yeah, dude. And it seems like you're clicking fine, so we won't do the hand setup.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it done now? You're back into reality?
Yeah.
Okay. So now
your thing is here.
I'm going to put my laptop right here. You can close that window by looking at that bar, and then there's a dot to the right of it, or to the left of that bar at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, okay.
And you can close it like that. And then, so now we have my laptop in front of me. So sometimes there's a connect.
Yeah. It's
okay,
there.
that's there.
It's
okay.
exactly where you just did that.
Just click that. Okay. Do you have a screen in front of you now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You don't realize how sick it is.
Yes, dude. Okay. So now, so I don't know where that screen is for you or how big it is. I find that I get the most clarity when I move the screen away from me as far as possible and scale it up. So that bar at the bottom, look at that bar and then just push it away from you. Okay.
Yeah. Now it's like the whole room almost, but behind. And then if you look at the right side corner, you can also scale that window up even more if it's not big yet. No, yeah, it's huge.
It's huge. Okay. So now you can use the laptop pretty much just like as you would.
But now this is I'm like dizzy looking at that.
Can you not? So you don't have any environment on
Oh,
it
it's
right now?
Okay. So it's instant.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
this, I can
no
turn
lag.
the environment.
Yes. Okay. So now you turn that, and where are you?
I'm on the moon.
You're on the moon, bro. Is that not crazy?
Okay, that's kind of fucking sick.
Okay, now to change the environment, click the home button.
Where was that?
This? Yeah, that one. And then look over to the left of that
the
menu,
bottom one.
And then it says environments. Yeah, you can select that. Okay, now just like the world is your oyster. Go to
What's your favorite?
I like Joshua Tree or the Winter Yosemite.
Okay, I'm there.
All right, there you go. Are you fully immersed right now?
Yeah. No.
So now go full. The only thing about going full is then you lose your hand. Like you can't see the laptop. So like looking at keys and stuff like that. But you can kind of just like dial it in to where it's only your field of view, but you still can see your hands. Yeah.
Like here. Oh, it's a bit lagged with that, but yeah, whatever.
Okay, now just like go to the website or like go to LinkedIn.
You really have to you have to be good at
typing
the keyboard.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I could use this.
Yes. Okay. Fuck yeah. I converted you.
Okay, so what if...
Now imagine laying in like a lounge chair at like...
Can you interact with the browser with this or no?
What do you mean? Like you mean look at stuff to click on it? So when you're so there is a native Safari app, which you can interact in more of a Vision Pro style. But with the laptop mirroring, like the main use case is like to actually use the inputs of your keyboard and stuff like that. I mean, that's the way I've 90% of my work so far has been just typing on my keyboard. All of the games suck on it. There's literally not one good app on the Apple Vision Pro right now that's like, oh, I'm going to ever use this. But this one feature of like screen mirroring, there's zero lag. Like the only thing is when I first set it up, if I wasn't on the default resolution of my laptop, then it would sometimes lag. But
I think I think I just did the first ever Wizza email find on
the Vision Pro. There you go, dude. Take a screenshot.
How do I do that?
So you take a screenshot, you press both buttons, the home button and the one on your left side as well. There you go.
So now what if I wanted multiple browser windows?
So the only issue with this right now is you can only have one mirrored browser window, but you can make...
So I can do that Safari native
You can do a Safari native and throw
so
that over there. Yeah, you click that and then you can open Safari.
Yeah, the problem is this one's so fucking big. I don't have much space here to work with.
To like make that screen smaller, you can drag it down, but
yeah, like
okay. So have you changed your mind?
It needs a new input for like you said. I wouldn't work.
You never use it.
The problem is like I can't do work that's like I'm typing a lot because it's like even if you're good at typing, you sometimes like want to look at the keyboard for some reason.
Honestly, it took me 2 work sessions.
I guess you might get used to that. But then like I'm trying to think like what this would be really good for.
Dude, email, like I'm telling you, like I just get into the zone.
Let me try watching like a YouTube video. Is the sound going to come out of this or no?
So the sound does not come out of, unless you have your headphones connected to your laptop, the sound comes out of the laptop. If you're using the native Safari browser, then the sound comes out of the speakers in the Vision Pro, which by the way, I can't hear when you hear them.
Like, okay. So is there anything else that's...
No, I mean, that's the main, that's the main use case. Like that's anything I would show you, you'd be like, this is stupid, I don't play games. This would be like the way you would actually use it, knowing you.
Whoa. Okay, here's what I'll say. It's way cooler than I thought it would be. Like it's way more of like I can kind of see how you're like in it more.
Yeah.
I feel even a little weird right now coming out of it. But would I actually get work done on it with the keyboard? Now it almost seems like there needs to be a new like
interface. So I've heard some people talk about like there should be like just like a laptop keyboard that gets it projected onto the table. That's just like in your environment that you type on, which I think is like an interesting idea. Like I said, the input lag and like getting used to it took me like 2 work sessions. And like now it's like if I was on a plane or I'm in a coffee shop, I mean putting this on a coffee shop is like cock as fuck, but like honestly, like you get like a lot more work done, and it just feels like less, you're making like less concessions to get work done. Like it makes it enjoyable, and like being able to switch the environment and then working outside in the sun. I'm like, this is so good. Cause you always go out and you like pretend like you're gonna do some emails and nothing ever gets done. When it's 2 hour sessions, like I would go to the battery died outside working the whole time.
You're going to have a Vision Pro tan.
I'm going to have a Vision Pro tan, which is an issue. Actually, we posted that on Twitter and like someone was like, oh, like the new tech bro tan. And it was like, just looking like Donald Trump. Well, I'm glad you liked it.
It's really cool. It's really cool.
And this is the worst it will ever be.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, Tim Cook. But yeah, like our greatest Vision Pro yet. Which I hate when they say that. This truly is. No, he always goes, this truly is our best iPhone yet. It's like,
I hope so.
Obviously, it's the new one. Like, what are we going to launch a worse one? No, but like, yeah, fuck. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Dude,
it needs to be.
If I was like a regular consumer though, and I tried this, I would be incredibly disappointed, which worries me slightly because like the reason why all Apple products become really great and all the developers go to them is because like a lot of people are using it and it's a meaningful place to like build a business and all that kind of stuff. But so I'm like worried that it's not going to get the development love that it could, considering the price point and like. But again, I'm not the consumer for games and stuff. So potentially some people might use some of these games on here and enjoy it. But I mean, if you go to the App Store, it feels like App Store version 1. Like there's
it's nothing.
Nothing.
But so is the iPhone.
So is the iPhone, yeah.
It actually, the first iPhone had no App Store. It needs to be less heavy. Like,
yes. So there's another strap that I actually have that apparently, that one just goes around the back of your head. This one is more of like a helmet where it goes over the top and the back of your head, which apparently alleviates most of the weight. I just haven't swapped it out yet.
Yeah.
And I think this one isn't like as adjustable, whereas like that one you could just like spin it and like click it, kind of like those like shoes. But I've also just been like super satisfied with like the industrial design of this product. Like it just feels, it definitely doesn't feel like it's not worth $3,500. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels.
Yeah, I mean, with all this new technology and built in, what use case can you think of in the future? Like, imagine it's better.
Right. So, I mean, the use case in the future is changing the form factor is the biggest piece. So there's not really a need to have monitors on my desk if I could put on a pair of like glasses.
If they're glasses.
And if they're glasses, like imagine how beautiful like every home office would look if there wasn't like a big monitor. Like even like the Pro XDR is a beautiful monitor, but the room would look better without the.
We go back to just a desk.
We just go back to a desk and it would be like super beautiful. But again, I think you can't really like, you could wear this for a long period of time. I think every time that the batteries died, I've been like, oh, it's probably time to take this off. Like, and then I'm like, I have relief taking it off. But actually being in the experience and like, if I'm doing real work, I'm never like, I need to get this thing off. Like, you know, like I feel like I would get more of that from like sitting in a chair too long or something, you know, that more of that kind of like fatigue of the input or the thing that you're consuming. So
I think what could be cool, it's definitely like too heavy and like sweaty right now, but like, let's say it was glasses size. So my opinion has changed because I think like.
Yeah. By what degree? Like now, could you see yourself buying one?
I just don't think I would use it enough as it is. But like, could I see myself buying one that's like glasses? Yeah. And if the inputs were better, I could probably use that.
I'm curious to hear your thought process on like the cost of it. Like for example, like. You have the most expensive monitor in the world, right? So it's like, you bought
not in the world.
Okay, the most expensive consumer monitor in the world, in the 99th percentile of monitors. Yeah. Obviously, you bought that for like probably the design, buying the best thing, and then you have an expectation of like value that you'd get out of it, whatever. Would you not have the same calculation for this, where you're like, if I'm like tired at the end of the day and it's like, you know, 5 p.m. the sun is setting, I could get 2 more hours of work in and enjoy it. And then like instantly this thing pays for itself.
Like, I think the value could be like, again, back to like the working in the sun thing or working outside is like, I'll get more sunlight and like, that'll be better for me.
Right.
Because like, is the trade-off really like, you know,
like I think if you're actually doing professional work on this and you're someone that likes to work a lot, I actually think it pays for itself like very quickly. And like this is also me, like I had it for a week in LA where there was like a nice backyard to go and sit on.
Right.
But even like my place now, like there's a nice rooftop to go and sit on. Like if I, you know, like if I amortize this over like how many times I get to spend an extra hour outside and like still get productivity done and all that kind of stuff, like I've had like no regrets about buying this.
So I'm trying to do a lot more like zone 2 cardio, which is like so boring because it's just like, it's so easy. So there's like no difficult aspect to it. So if it wasn't like so heavy and like whatever else,
I think a lighter version of this in Zwift would be like amazing.
Like a Zwift, or like even like walking on a treadmill to play a movie.
Yeah.
Where like you're more like, the problem with like putting an iPad on a treadmill is like
bouncing.
You're still just like in a gym watching something on a treadmill. Like if you're watching a movie, like the immersion is like an important aspect of it. So like if I could be running at a slow speed and watching something interesting, like that's good.
I'm so surprised that your use case for it skews towards more entertainment than work. I'm so surprised
because I do think it's more of an entertainment device right now, until the inputs.
I couldn't agree less. Like I actually think as an entertainment device, it sucks. Like I would rather watch YouTube on my laptop. Probably.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like,
if I'm just going to watch a video, I'd rather lie on my couch, put this on, fill up the thing, and watch it. Versus like a screen, it's like...
I guess I'm just not getting as much personal value from that. Like for me, like getting to be able to work in situations in which I would not normally, I think I just get so much personal value from that. I'm just like, oh, like this is the way I'm going to use this thing. But I'm excited to see like what comes out for it. Like I had to like get a US Apple ID to like make the App Store work, or convert my current one. And so I have to like reset all my like Apple TV subscriptions. So I haven't actually watched anything except for a couple of YouTube videos on it, but it could potentially be the greatest way to watch stuff. I mean, like, the screen's huge. It's clear. Like you're not like, oh, it's kind of blurry like the Oculus or
the screen. The screen is good.
Yeah.
It's like a low quality monitor in a good way. Like,
yes. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad I'm so, like, cause you were like so anti this. You're like, your text message to me prior to this was, and I quote, "Can't wait to see this scam." So do you consider it a scam as
no,
still?
No. Yeah, look, I don't think it's a scam overall, but like, again, would I buy it today? No. Which is pretty crazy because like
you buy everything.
I love not everything, but like I love buying like stupid shit that's like fun to mess around with.
Right.
So, I'm a super early adopter, so that's probably like a red flag for it. But I mean,
I think if you're a normal person that just like doesn't work a lot, like if you're just like, I'm just gonna get to the end of the day and like stop working, I don't think anybody should buy this thing. Which again, like makes me kind of like nervous about it. Yeah. Because if it doesn't get developer adoption, if like even, they're having these issues with YouTube and Spotify deciding not to build native apps for it. And like, there's a lot, it's actually like kind of it's running uphill. It's like expensive. They're not developer friendly right now. Like developers don't really love Apple. So it could fall flat on its face, which I think would be, because the glasses version of this, like let's call it like 7 years in the future, would like be amazing. So yeah.
If I was Apple tomorrow, would I keep working on it? Probably not. Unless there's something obviously I don't know. But based on this, I'd be like, probably not the best area to move.
All right. Okay, let's get into normal podcast mode. What'd you get done this week?
So we have an idea for a new product. I started getting on calls with who might use that product, which is kind of the first time I've ever done something like that, where I'm like, okay, I know there's something here, but like, let me get someone to actually pay for it and we'll do it as a service before we do that. And it's been like a good exercise to just like see like it is definitely like hard to get someone's money for something new.
Yeah.
And like it's a reminder of that because you always feel like
I can
this
just
is
launch
so
this thing
sick,
into
we'll
it.
launch it, everyone's gonna want it. So that was like a key thing. I have my notes from like our internal meeting of what I got done this week, but the rest is kind of just like hyper kind of specific. And now in my spare time, I recently have found like, especially this year, I've had like a lot of energy and appetite for work, and I'm usually at the office now until like 7 or 8, and then I get home and I just like want to work more.
Mm-hmm.
But that work is like not that productive, so I'm like, maybe I should just like learn something new or whatever, which I've done a few random times. But now I'm getting back to learning to code.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is this? 4th, 5th?
Yeah,
6th time?
that's actually what I was gonna talk about. I feel like this is kind of, this revelation has come to me recently as someone that's like always into like something new, but then like trying something else after, and like kind of jumping around between things, which I don't mind because it's like
fun,
just curiosity and whatever. But I think when you have something that keeps, like we were talking about this with like moving to New York, but like where it keeps resurfacing, like
how stupid you are.
No, just no, just I think you need to follow those things. If it just keeps bubbling up in your like, I want to do this, like if that keeps,
some girls that like crystals might call it a sign, Steve.
It's a sign. It's like, why does this keep, bubbling up? And I think that's something where you then have to like really give it a shot. So I'm doing like 2-3 hours per day, and again, it's like spare time stuff that's like, it's not gonna hurt me.
Right.
So
cool.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing this week.
So are you just going through like Code Academy courses? Are you like trying to do a specific language? Are you just doing whatever the stack has at Wizza?
So I'm doing JavaScript, which is not what Wizza is. Our mutual friend Jake gave me a course that he recommended. I started in this one course. So I've this is probably the 5th time I've done this. So I've done like Rails courses and all these other things. So I did a course that was, I bought this course. It was so shit. The guy would get a bug, pause the recording, and then come back and he had fixed it. And he'd be like, I fixed it with this. And it's like, great, dude. Now I got to copy and paste and look like and what's different between, he didn't explain anything. It was a really, really shit course. So anyway, I'm on this new one now. And I took computer science in university for like a short bit, like 2 courses. So there are like some fundamental stuff that have stuck. So I'm just like piecing it all together.
Nice. I don't want to learn. I mean, I would love to learn to code. I think we've had this conversation probably ad nauseum every time you decide to learn to code and then not learn to code again.
Yeah.
My take on it right now is like, I don't think I'll ever become like a 10x developer. And I also have like this belief that when thinking about product, ignorance usually is like on your side. And so I think I don't think that's always true. Like there's technical people that build great products, but for me, it's like, I almost like don't want to know how hard or easy something might be, because I don't want it to influence like my willingness to do it.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point.
Yeah. And I think that's the only reason I haven't like really like dove into it. And I think there's also something to be said about, you and I both have ran into situations where there's like a bug or like something we really want to build, and we're like, I just wish I could just like fucking go and fix it.
Yeah.
Which I think is like, obviously that would be good in the acute moments in which you can like save the day or whatever. But then it also just like gives it almost, in terms of like leading a company, it distracts you from like leading, it's almost like you're like finding busy work.
Right.
I think it could lead to that as well.
100%.
I'm not saying it 100% would, but like, I just think that those are like the pitfalls to like look out for.
Yeah. No. So on the first point, I think like that's definitely true. But I do think if I look at like some of the best things we've implemented, it's come out of the the technical knowledge that I have, which is not like super high, but it's not like nothing. And knowing like, let's say knowing like, oh, this company has this API for this, and this other company has this API for this. Like, we could build something based on like our database and this, and I know our database has this, and like based on whatever. So
it's like when you can see inside of your fridge, you know what meals you can make, kind of thing. You know, like if you don't know the ingredients, you actually could be completely lost. Like, I don't know what I want to make. Like it'd be like trying to decide, you know, what to make for dinner without having any idea of like what's actually in your fridge.
Like you wouldn't want to know not like to your first point, like you wouldn't want to know nothing.
Yeah.
So then like, what is the right, but yeah, like,
well, no, I think you could become outrageously technical and then continue to have altitude in your vision. But I think it's just like, you have to be disciplined, and I think you have to have the desire for like pain. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine you have this idea for a product and then you just go, fuck, like that's going to take like 6 months. We're going to have to fucking do this. We're going to have to do that. It's like, you might just be like, it's not the right time. Whereas if you're completely ignorant, you could be like, let's do it. And then like, you just,
but I still make those decisions today without being the one to make that decision. Meaning like, if I say I want to build this and I'm told this will take 6 months, it's now like blurry. It's like, okay, this is 6 months. But let's say you have like full technical knowledge. Let's build this. It'll take 6 months. There's something, you know, or whatever. Okay, but maybe there's this other way of doing it.
Right.
Based on whatever. So
you're more incentive to have the problem solved as well.
Yeah, when you can come up with better solutions yourself. Right. So yeah.
All right. Well, if you're ever looking for a job or hiring for developers, sweet.
What'd you get done this week?
I was traveling for a whole week, so I went to LA mainly because the group we're part of, Hampton, we're doing like a meetup with Rob Dyrdek, which like I grew up watching like Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory, Robin Big, and like honestly, Fantasy Factory it actually made a big difference in my life, where I'm like, I love the fact that this guy's like an adult and acts like a kid and can have this. I still want a warehouse. Like, I think every guy that watched Fantasy Factory wants like a warehouse where they can just like fuck around and do like, you know, degenerate stuff. So anyway, this opportunity came up to do like this. It was like this 25 or 30 person Q&A. And I was like, okay, you can meet one of your heroes. Why not? Why not? So I went down. Few notes on that. I don't know what my expectation was going in. I'm glad that I went, but I have never, and like I listened to like some esoteric bullshit stuff. I have never like heard someone, especially like face to face in the flesh, be more disconnected from reality. And I don't say that in a negative way. Like, it was just like a jarring experience.
Like how? Because I've listened to him on.
Yeah. So like, I think you get small pieces when like on the My First Million podcast. I mean, the examples are like Sam would ask like very pointed, specific questions. And it was maybe a few seconds before the question was completely disregarded. And it was like taken over by this idea that he's been obsessing about. And he like very much was bending reality as a way of answering the question with this thing that you could just tell that he wanted to talk about. Also, it was like, I mean, the key lessons that I have are like, one, it was very cool knowing that he was kind of broke at 38. Essentially, like someone had asked him, you know, what, he had this like massive life shift to where he started like optimizing his time at like a 99 percentile type level, like, and taking his life very seriously. And apparently some private equity firm offered him $7 million for everything he owned and 50% of all for future earnings. And he just like felt like the like biggest loser in the entire world. And then he just like completely changed his life and like now is in the hundreds of millions of dollars range. So anyways, cool. Just kind of like setting perspective of like, oh, like you can get there and like, I still got some time, like, you know, just made the voice inside of my head a little bit quieter. The other thing was like, I have a friend who like talks a lot about never wanting to become disconnected from reality. And I've never actually known how to like respond to that because I didn't have like an opinion on it. After, because his whole thing is like, you know, if you make all this money, you kind of, it's almost like you're like not human anymore because you can't relate to people. And if you can't relate to people, it's like, what life are you living? After meeting Rob, it made me want to be disconnected from reality more. Because I just saw like, it almost looks like a whole new adventure of like what life actually can be. You know, like I've lived up until this point in my life connected to reality. Like there's no reason why, like, why not to make the second chapter not, you know, like there's no need to. Yeah. So anyway, that kind of stood out in my mind. But yeah, man, like it was, and the thing that was like weird, like I could not resonate with at all is like, he's obsessed with like his personal financial legacy. And like talking to a bunch of the people in the group after, we were all just like, I feel like him obsessing about it this much is going to do the opposite of what he thinks it will be. Like he was saying all this stuff about, he's like, I'm going to make sure that any deer deck for the next 500 years has access to capital. And like, and there's just like not that many like generational wealth, but like he didn't want just generational wealth. He wanted like generational opportunity for his offspring. And I feel like, and some people had asked him like pretty pointed questions of like, the reason why you are the way you are is because you didn't have that.
Right.
And so why do you think that giving that to other people is going to be the path?
Yeah.
And he just went right off. Like it was, you know, he didn't care about answering that. But yeah, so that kind of felt a little bit like, I don't know, man. Like, again, like people could live their life the way they want, like 100%.
Yeah.
But it just like, it wasn't like I heard that and was like, that's what I need to do is like optimize for the next 500 years of Murray stuff, access to capital. I was like, I like actively saw that. I'm like, I don't believe in that as a, I just don't think that obsessing about that yields the outcome that you think it's going to yield.
Yeah.
Like I think it's completely miscalculated. Another thing, like he also has like a propensity or when he was like in that flux period of going from like rich to like wealthy, of like draining his bank account like to zero like multiple times. So it's like that was like a
like with like trying stuff or like just spending it.
Fucking bro, he had $12 million to his name and he spent $10 million on a piece of land that he was planning on building his future home with. Like, but there's no house there. Like it's just you know, and then it's in California. He's like, he's draining me on property taxes. I didn't have the money to actually start building it. And like, you know, but like all of that kind of stuff of like adding pressure to yourself, I think was interesting. But yeah, it was a cool experience, but yeah, the guy's out there.
Yeah.
So that's what I got down. And then yeah, after that stayed in LA for a little bit and then went to Vegas for an event, Shop Talk, which is like a retailer event. That was super cool. Every time I go to these events, I'm like super humbled by the contrast of like when I first started going to the events versus now, where it's like people come up to me and they're like talking to me as if I know them, but like, oh no, you just know me from LinkedIn. It's like kind of a cool feeling. It's like little niche celebrity status.
Did you ask Rob a question?
No, I didn't get a chance. If I'm being honest, I also like didn't have one.
Yeah.
Like
I never have one at any of those things.
Bro, after the talk, I was like, I don't even know what you said, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like to ask anything that wouldn't sound stupid or like would just be interesting. One interesting thing happened where there was a guy in the audience that had essentially let's call it Strava, but for skateboarders, where like you could like take photos of skate spots and whatever. And he like asked a question because earlier in the Q&A session, he had mentioned about how like he got away from skateboarding because it was just like too niche of a market. And like the guy like was essentially pushed back on him. And then Rob just like dug his heels in even more. He's just like, good luck, bro. Like I like looked at it, like I tried to build like a bunch of different companies. Like I loved skateboarding and like,
I mean, it's just not that big today.
It's just not that big, you know, like even like back then, I think it was bigger than it was.
Bigger.
But I was talking to this guy at dinner, the guy with the skateboarding app, and he showed me his pitch deck, and he has one really funny slide where he's like, yeah, we have users all over the world. And he has a little dot in North Korea with this little pointer and then an image, and this guy in North Korea at a skate park wearing like his fucking, I don't know, North Korean like issued uniform.
That's
being
hilarious.
Like, if this fucking photo came out, like
this guy would be dead. There, yeah. I was like,
you're definitely not allowed to take photos and like share them on social media. So this guy's like, and I was like, okay, maybe that's product market fit. Like, you know, like people are in the
we're gonna die for our product.
Yeah, like I was like, that's kind of cool. But yeah, I know we haven't went to as many you haven't went to as many in-person Hampton things as I have, it's starting to like compound in a really nice way. Like I get there and I have like a bunch of friends.
Yeah,
and like
it's the same sort of people.
It's kind of, I mean, there's new people. It's not just the same, but like it is nice of like, I don't know. I just have now of all of these little relationships that don't require any maintenance. But then when you see them, you like catch up and there's like some value to it. So I'm starting to really like that.
We're going to Costa Rica soon. That's my first Hampton. That's my first Hampton trip.
That's your first Hampton trip?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Actually, my first in-person Hampton anything.
You haven't been to a dinner yet?
No.
Wow.
I'm just burning money on my membership. I don't go to the meetings. I never open the Slack, and I've never been to it.
I've stopped opening the Slack. It's getting noisy. Yeah, it's like almost takes us an hour. I think it's a good place to wrap it unless you have something.
No.
You're good?
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, sorry, I have a question because I'm going to ask my team this next week. Because what I'm going to add in our Done This Week meetings is one question for everyone. So I looked up some questions. I thought this one's interesting. What is your favorite hour of the day and why?
It depends on how well I've structured my day. So this answer is predicated on proper preparation. But my favorite schedule is waking up between 4:30 and 5. Between 5 and 6 is probably my favorite.
That's your favorite
hour of the day. Because I never really work out that early. I usually work out at 6. But it's the only time in the day where I don't feel guilty about potentially doing nothing. Like I'll do something, but it's not like I have any pressure to be doing something. Like once like 8:30 hits, I feel like an incredible amount of anxiety if I'm not at my computer working or doing stuff. So I think it's like the most open hour of my day is like between 5 and 6. And it kind of feels free. So, but again, structuring your days and being consistent enough to like wake up at 4:30 to 5. I've been like on and off throughout the whole year. Right. I just haven't been as stern on like saying no to things at past 7 p.m.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
I mean, last night
the waking up.
I was like in such a good schedule since getting back from like LA, and then whatever, we had like the cleaning person come and they came at 7 p.m. and they were there till like 1, and I'm like, it's just literally fucked up my whole like thing. So I'm like, it is, because then it literally, because like I could wake up at 5, but then it's just not gonna be a productive day. So
yeah,
I just need to get super, you just got to be like clinical about it.
Yeah,
like I'm not saying yes to anything after 8 p.m. period, end of story.
Right.
I think that's the only way to do it. What's your favorite hour of the day?
I mean, mine's similar, but it's like 6:30 to 7:30, which is when I typically go to CrossFit. Because like the whole day's out in front of me. I find CrossFit really fun. But aside from that, I tried to like separate it if it was just like an average work day. I think like 10 to 11.
That's a good time.
Such a great time.
Yeah, that is a good time. You're just fucking cooking in. Maybe you got a couple coffees in you.
Yeah, like
maybe a bit of modafinil, and you're just some lo-fi beats. Yeah,
everything is
is peaking.
Yeah, that's. And
then you have like lunch,
time.
and you like get cloudy. Fuck, I was gonna say something. What were we talking about? We were talking about CrossFit. I signed up again. So
nice.
Now we have a new morning hang.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, sure. See you there.
See ya.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.